Let's try and go back to Rahul Srivastava once again. Rahul, a very politically sensitive decision, that one, to hike fuel prices. What really seems to have changed in the last 2 weeks?
Ankita, it's a hugely political decision taken by the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs. Primarily, the oil companies were incurring huge losses as the international prices of crude have stabilized at very high levels, somewhere just below the $100 per barrel mark. And the Finance Ministry was very clear that there is no possibility in just before the budget to rejig as far as the duties on petrol products are concerned. And that is why to tide over, even a proposal of launching oil bonds to help the oil companies tide over the crisis could not be considered, and the government realized that it was necessary that there should be a little hike as far as the petrol prices and the diesel prices are concerned. That is why 2 rupees on petrol, 1 rupee on diesel has been announced as a hike, and it seems now there will be pressure on the state governments to rework as far as their duty structures are concerned, so that to minimize or maybe reduce to a certain extent the impact on the consumer. For the government, the main worry is that the prices hike will lead to a huge escalation in the prices of basic commodities, and this being election year, nearly 9 to 10 states are going to polls, and the UPA government will have to brace for the impact of rising prices.
All right, Rahul, when the panel of ministers met last on that issue, the oil minister Murli Deora seemed to be in disagreement with his bureaucrats. Also, Agriculture Minister Sharad Pawar did not favor raising prices in view of the impending elections in 9 states. So really, is this just the international oil price situation that's now actually forced this decision?
Yes, the cascading effect of the rising crude prices and the huge amount of losses that the oil companies have incurred over the last few months. One should remember that petrol prices, crude prices especially, have touched $100 a barrel few months ago. And all this while the oil companies were incurring losses, the Finance Ministry was very clear that they cannot bring down the duties on petrol products, as that will upset the budgetary assessments which are done within the system. And that is why the only way to tide over the crisis for the government was going for a minor hike, although the petroleum minister was very clear at one time that he can't, because all the political compulsions, especially the allies like the RJD, the NCP and others, were against any hike in the prices. For example, Mr. Sharad Pawar, the agriculture minister, was against, because immediately when the food prices of petroleum are increased, there will be a rise in the prices of various food items, and that would adversely impact the political fortunes of political parties. And that is why, after a lot of considerations, eventually also because of falling pressure from the left, the government had to take a decision, and which might not go down well as far as the states which are going to elections in the coming days.
All right, Rahul, thanks very much indeed for joining us with those details. As we've been saying, those new prices are effective from midnight tonight.